Hey everyone, it's Mike. We're talking about Phenibut today. What got my attention about Phenibut was this graph over here, which shows it is the best nootropic as far as the effects of anxiety are concerned. Do I believe that? No. If you're new to my channel, I talk about nootropics and I talk about personal development. And honestly, Phenibut is one nootropic that I've always stayed away from because I've always read more bad than I have good about it. And as an example of this, as you can see here, I read a lot on Quora and I can see here that one person reports in their experience, the Phenibut withdrawals are the worst feeling ever. Now, these are the capsules, and I actually do also have it in powder form, so I'll talk a little bit about that. So let this video be your guide. I'm going to do a breakdown of all the benefits of Phenibut. We're going to talk about the cons and the side effects. We'll go over the proper dosage if you do choose to introduce it to your staff. And then stay tuned towards the end of the video where I'm going to talk about some nice alternatives to Phenibut. We'll go over the dosage and the practicality of using them in your stack as well. If you're new to my channel, I discuss nootropics in depth. I talk about personal development. We also have live streams a couple times a week, so be sure to subscribe. It helps the algorithm a lot. If you do as well, comment, give it a like, and let's get right into the video. Alright, so what is Phenibut? It's a psychotropic supplement that is often used for anti-anxiety, for keeping calm, for sleep, and even has some interesting uses for PTSD. Now, the mechanism of action of Phenibut, it's not completely understood, although it's known to increase dopamine and serotonin neurotransmission. So by boosting these three crucial neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin, and GABA, it can have some profound effects when it comes to cognition, with fatigue, and with anti-anxiety. And when I say boosting cognition, this encompasses a lot. We're talking about verbal fluency, long-term memory, short-term memory, your ability to retain information, even your ability to solve complex problems. It's actually earned the nickname of the happy pill because of its effects on improving your mood. Some say it can induce a euphoria and has some really profound effects on anti-anxiety. I found that most people come across Phenibut simply because they're looking for something that kind of acts like alcohol and that it can suppress your inhibitions, it can make you more socially confident, be more willing to engage in new projects. So it's really interesting. I found that a lot of bodybuilders who really don't want to consume alcohol because of all the negative implications it has on building a good physique, they're resorting to Phenibut as they can just get that natural good feeling. It's a unique pill in that some say that the benefits last for about 36 hours, which means it's not something that you should play with or use every single day. So other than anti-anxiety, a major benefit is its effect on sleep. There's a lot of users that report taking Phenibut a few hours before bed and having the best sleep of their life. People report snoring after years, having great dreams, and waking up feeling really refreshed. I think of it as like an anti-hangover type of effect, meaning you sleep well, you wake up feeling very refreshed, you feel excited, you feel happy, you're willing to conquer the day, your verbal fluency is good, you're more willing to interact with people, maybe start some new projects. So all this does make it sound like a very exciting pill. Now this has kind of been my experience, but I'm only experiencing that when I'm dosing it very high. So stay tuned to the end of the video where I'll talk about a normal dose, a low dose, and a high dose. So I would never want to do that because of some of the withdrawals that come with that. So I'm not particularly using it for sleep, just maybe for energy, maybe for a little bit of anti-anxiety. And then the third major benefit is on mood. And it acts almost like a bandage, that if you're somebody that's in a severe depression, don't be surprised if by using Phenibut, you're able to kind of forget about your problems and just move on with life. But the issue with that is that once you get off of Phenibut, then you're likely just to see those problems reappear and there's no solution. With respect to the graph which I referenced earlier, you can see that on the y-axis, they've ranked a lot of popular nootropics, and then on the x-axis, you can see it has their effect on anxiety. So what's interesting is Phenibut actually ranks first here. You can see that it has the best effect on decreasing anxiety, labeled as a moderate decrease. And as you scroll down that list, you can see some popular other nootropics. Here we have L-Theanine, we have ashwagandha, and then scroll down to the very bottom and we can see some stimulants that surprisingly do increase anxiety. Things like caffeine, like modafinil, or even huperzine A. I have found that the effects are variable between different people. Some people respond very well to it and some people just don't notice anything. In fact, roughly 50% of people do not respond to it at all. They don't notice anything. So that being said, if you read about people's experiences and it seems kind of overhyped, who knows, maybe it's just working well for them. Alright, now let's talk about the scary part. Those are the cons, the withdrawals, the side effects. All the reasons why I never play with Phenibut, and I'm pretty much just taking this stuff regularly so I can make a review for you all. I want to point out something that I read on Quora which answers the question, how bad are Phenibut withdrawals? And somebody says, in their experience, it's the worst feeling ever. If you had problems in your life anyway and you were using Phenibut to mask them, the problems will come back 20 times as bad. The withdrawals strip away any optimistic delusions that Phenibut may have given you and puts you into a state of depressive realism. Wow. Across my experience of using Phenibut maybe 20 to 25 times, the one side effect I feel, which isn't so bad, but I feel a little bit dizzy, and this is common: dizziness, nauseousness. I find that sometimes if I sit down for too long and I just stand up, I feel really nauseous. It's almost like I have low blood sugar. That's a little bit scary. Again, it's nothing too severe. With respect to the withdrawals, I've not felt anything too negative, but that's also because if I'm using it, I'm being safe with it. I'm only using it maybe twice or 3 times a week at most. To give you an idea as how bad the withdrawals can be for some people, take a look at this. On Reddit, there is a subreddit entitled Quitting Phenibut, where people log their experience on taking it. Man, I've read some scary things. I've read like people were at doses as high as 3 to 4 grams, and they were gradually coming off of it by lowering the dose every day by 0.1 grams. I mean, that is specific, and that takes a lot of time, and even those people were experiencing really bad withdrawals, so kind of scary. Now, sorry for all of you that believe I'm somewhat exaggerating about the withdrawals. This is just what I'm reading from my experience, and for somebody who's been through withdrawals through taking Concerta and other pills, I really don't like them, and I feel that you should know about them too. So the takeaway with the cons really is that if you do choose to use it, then be mindful of your dose, of course, assess your tolerance, and only take it a couple times a week, notice if it's working, and evaluate your sleep. And of course, don't mix it with any other pills unless your GP says it's a good idea. Otherwise, it will mask the effects of Phenibut and you won't be able to properly evaluate whether or not it works. Alright, let's talk about 2 great alternatives if you're taking Phenibut for the purpose of anti-anxiety. Now, this is something people commonly ask me is like, what are the 1 or 2 best nootropics when it comes to anti-anxiety? And as you can see as part of that graph, ashwagandha was ranked pretty highly. I've done another video on it, which I'll link over here. Ashwagandha, this is KSM 66, which is my favorite. I'm typically dosing it something like 300 milligrams twice per day. And some of the benefits you'll notice from taking KSM 66 ashwagandha is you'll feel a little bit more at peace, you'll feel a little bit more joyous, especially throughout your work, and you have a much better relationship with stress. This is a supplement which, unlike Phenibut, can be used consistently day by day. Not a lot of people report bad side effects. Some people report a little bit of stomach upset, but that could depend on the brand. It's a herb, it's been used for centuries all across the globe, and ashwagandha is a great tool, and in my opinion, just makes for a good alternative given that it's relatively safe. And it just makes for a good alternative as people are more likely to actually respond to ashwagandha, and again, Phenibut doesn't work for everyone. And then the second alternative would be L-Theanine. It's an amino acid, it's actually found in green tea, and the beauty happens when you mix L-Theanine with a stimulant. So if you're somebody that doesn't respond that well to caffeine, meaning you get some anxiety, meaning you feel overly stimulated, or even you feel some sort of caffeine crash, you may find that mixing caffeine with L-Theanine could help you to eliminate those bad side effects. I made a video on that as well called Caffeine and L-Theanine where I discuss some of the benefits, the dosage. I'll link that over here. Overall, it's a great tool. Now, I don't like using L-Theanine by itself. I'm only using it when I'm taking stimulants like caffeine or even modafinil, because I found that when I take L-Theanine by itself, I feel a little bit too relaxed. It's almost like just an energy crash, and you feel a little bit lethargic, a little bit complacent. You're kind of in a good mood, but you're not really willing to go after your goals. You don't have the ambition and the excitement to do so. If you're wondering if they're safe to mix, in my opinion, yes, L-Theanine, ashwagandha, and Phenibut. Alright, now here's the part that many of you have been waiting for, and that's the proper dosage when it comes to Phenibut. I would invite you to read through this. This on Reddit is the 2019 updated Phenibut guide. I will link it in the description box below as it lays out everything quite clearly. And you can see here when it comes to the dosage, and I do agree with this, on the low side would be 250 to 500 milligrams. The common dosage would be 750 to 1250 milligrams. And then a high dose would be 1500 milligrams. And then of course you have the offset. Although keep in mind again that a lot of people do report feeling Phenibut even 1 day afterwards. Now the dosage with Phenibut can be a little bit tricky. A lot of people do report having better experiences taking it before bed. Now some people report experiences having it like before a workday or before a task that's cognitively demanding. You can see here clearly Phenibut can take a long time to reach peak effect, so don't attempt redosing if you don't feel any noticeable effect. And I agree with that 100%. And so that's the way I'm using it, and that's the way most users report feeling the good effects, is by having a meal, maybe fasting a couple of hours, take your dosage then, and then fast a little bit longer, and then you should feel the effects. Alright, so that is Phenibut. I'll give you an idea what it looks like. As you can see, it's a pretty small container, like not even the size of half of my palm, which shows it's pretty potent stuff. And you can see here, like it's like a white powder, pretty flavorless, doesn't taste that bad, doesn't really taste like anything. It's kind of similar to like BCAAs, branched chain amino acids if you've tried them. If you're wondering how to use a milligram scale, of course, to be on the safe side and to accurate dose anything you take, I've put a video on that on my Patreon. So on my Patreon, you'll see that post where I measure out a few nootropics I like lion's mane, and then I think I did rhodiola rosé as well. What has your experience been like with Phenibut? Was it good? Was it bad? How do you rate it out of 10? Be sure to comment below. If you haven't already, then subscribe. We do live streams. Give it a like. I'll look forward to seeing you all next time.